unbelievable for a bourbon with that strength. We used 3 of our recipes. 2 of them we had a set 17-year-old barrels and 11-year-old barrels, and then we had 2 recipes, one 12 and one 11-year-old that went into this.
All that together. Do you need a long time for those bourbons to be placed together, to mingle together before bottling?
No.
Or you can just put them together?
No. We can just put them together. It's not like some of the other, I was talking to somebody recently in the rum industry, and when they reduce the barrel strength down to bottling proof, they do it over a period of a couple of months, a little at a time, because they say it changes the flavor.
Right.
I haven't seen that happen with bourbon.
Not for bourbon.
No.
But there must be a specific reason why you want it at 55.7. Why not maybe a more consumer-friendly 46?
No, it's not what I want. This is barrel strength.
So, as it
right, exactly. I didn't know what it was going to be, honestly. And, of course, we have an idea. We use single-story rack warehouses rather than the multi-story to reduce that temperature differential from the bottom barrel. On the bottom tier, we rack barrels 6 tiers high. And we've reduced that dramatic temperature differential down. But we still get a difference. The top couple of tiers will increase in strength during the maturation process, while the bottom 2 will decrease. Theoretically, more often than not, the middle 2 tiers are relatively close to our entry strength.
I see.
125 proof is the maximum strength, or 62.5%. Now, when we will go through a process of sampling barrels, we will decide on the recipe we want to use for this. And we've selected in laboratory conditions with graduated cylinders. We can get a rough proof. We really don't know what that proof will be. Would we have 55.7% that we ended up with this? We didn't know what that was going to be until the barrels were actually dumped, were ready, engaged, and ready for bottling. That's when we knew that we didn't. This was not to target something. Instead of a 94 or 95.6 or 98.3 proof, and say that we wouldn't do something like that. I don't think we wouldn't try for it. But you can control that by the amount of water you add. There's no water added, barrel strength, and it is what it is.
The beginning, the barreling, 125 maximum.
Right. We fill ours at 120.
But for all recipes, 120 for everything.
That's right. Now, again, you could do some things different if you have one recipe. You can get a lot of different labels, a lot of different brands by different ages, different strengths. A 5-year-old is going to be different than a 6-year-old. It's going to be very different than a 7-year, 8, or 9-year-old. So you get a lot of different flavors like this. You can also get different flavors by age in this warehouse versus this one, versus the middle floors of this one or 2 floors of another warehouse. A lot of different. Now, that's a part of the art of the industry. We've taken that art, I think, and with our 10 recipes, 10 unique recipes, and applied a little bit of science to it. So that's why we distill. We fill barrels separately with the 10 recipes. We age them separately through the maturation process. And then at the end of the aging process, then we can pick and select and choose and try and experiment. You could take this really good barrel plus this really good barrel, put them together. Whoa, it's not so good. You can take this is good, put them together and say, wow. You just don't know until you try.
But this is where you need years and years and years of nosing, of tasting.
Well, that helps. Yes.
Well, it's got to be.
And it's a lot of fun.
Well, we've got to talk about the craft distilling, and we've got to talk about what you don't want to talk about. What are you hiding from us? You don't want to have a small copper pot still to play with, just in case, just to see where that goes.
No, I honestly don't.
You don't want to play with smaller barrels.
No.
You don't want to play with... I'm just trying,
No, absolutely not.
So what are you playing with now that we don't know about, that will be on the market 5-6 years from now?
I think this is what I've been trying to explain, is that with 10 recipes,
You've got enough
we
on
don't
your hands.
need anything else. You start with 10 recipes. Let's say you take, and I've calculated this once, millions or hundreds of thousands, I can't remember, say 10 times 9 times 8 times 7. So you take all 10 recipes and all 5-year-old. So then you take a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old, 8-year-old. Now you're going to take some 10-year-olds here and some 8-year-old here and some 7 here. There's an infinite number of combinations, number of ways you can use 10 recipes to blend and make something different. And what else do you want?
And this keeps going on. It goes on and on. We've heard of, and we have some here, bourbons that are the results of experiments. This industry is quite active. It's alive. So lots of people experiment. You've got your hands full. We understood that. What with the wood? Have you commissioned your cooperage facilities to come up with something else, something different? Are you playing with older trees versus younger trees? Top part of the tree versus bottom part of the tree?
No.
Have you tried different char levels, or you're quite set on that quality standard?
First of our char level, we specify about 85% for char, heavy. The other 15%, and this gives us a little bit of variability at a medium char. And we do not take 3s and put them in this warehouse and these tiers. They're mixed in. So that's our char level. I honestly and truly don't know how somebody, when you have a forest full of trees that are being felled, and as they're taken down, and the top's cut out in the middle and the bottom of the trees, and I've talked to some people in the industry, in the barrel making industry. It's such a challenge to say that you don't go in and just take the tops out of trees. If you could do that, maybe that would be the easiest. But if you wanted the middle, how do you keep these logs segregated before they're cut and then quartered? How do you keep all this when it's such a mass production? I think I don't know, but we do not do that.
What about the fact that we hear more about the seasoning in the open air, when for efficiency most logs are just cut and dried, oven kilned quickly?
You know, we found that we're in the bourbon making business and not cooperage. We leave the barrel making to experts. Brown-Forman still has their own cooperage. It was called Bluegrass Cooperage. It might be Brown-Forman Cooperage. I'm not sure now. But they have their cooperage, and the largest cooperage plant in the world now is Independent Stave Company.
Right.
I think it's something over 75% of all the barrels are from Independent Stave. They have 2 locations in Lebanon, Kentucky, and ironically, not by design, Lebanon, Missouri. They've run experiments over the years, different type woods, different char depths and levels, and we work together. But the majority of the barrels for the industry now come from those vast majority from those 2. Majority from Independent Stave, but almost just a little less than 100% come from those 2.
Right. So if they want to experiment with different sorts of drying,
well, it's we agreed. We as an industry often agreed to work. We agreed several years ago. About 6 or 7 distilleries participated with Independent Stave when we were evaluating some French oak. We as an industry participated when we were using, rather than the pegs, to keep together the head of the barrel, the tongue and groove. We experimented as an industry to see what's best for the industry. We're friends in the industry. We work together. Right. I don't know of any Independent Stave brings the wood in, they air dry it. I don't know of any quick drying in just a kiln. Lebanon is where I live, and I see this forest of stacked wood, air drying, and they air dry. I've gone through their stave mill, their cooperage plant, a lot of times, and they start out with an air drying process. They go to the kiln drying process, and then they cut the staves for the heads and the. I have never seen a barrel that the wood's cut, run through a quick dry in a kiln.
Well, even if it's a month, that's quicker than, say...
But I've never seen it done. I understand what you're saying.
Oak, 3 years, 4 years out
Right.
in the open air.
Right. Well, I'm not sure the length of time independent stave. It's less than a year that they're air drying before it goes into a kiln. It's maybe 6 to 9 months. I'm not sure.
Back to distillation. The doubler, the thumper, you're using it to get the proof higher, but it seems like it's a different piece of equipment. It looks like a pot still, but inside it doesn't really happen just like in a pot still. You get your proof higher of just a few percent, a few degrees. What's exactly happening inside?
Well, I look at a doubler, to me, which is a pot still. When we're separating the alcohols from the grains in the water, we're sparging in a beer still. We're sparging in live steam at the bottom of the still. We come off the top of the beer still, we mentioned earlier, about 65%. We charge we supercool, we charge the doubler, which is pot still. And we use steam coils there because we don't want to chance any unfavorable characters from the water getting into the final product. So we use steam coils. And so to me, it's like a cleansing process that we use the doubler or pot still. And then we increase that strength. We're also leaving some alcohol a little bit behind. We're not taking every drop or bit of alcohol we can off the top of the still, because some of the higher boilers that will have a harshness to it or a staleness to it that we don't consider good. But that's the way I view and look at a...
But what about the way a thumper is working?
Same process. That's the difference in a thumper and a doubler is the temperature. So we condense off the beer still. We're taking it into the doubler, very cold temperature, where a thumper would take just the vapor off the top of the beer still directly into the doubler. Now, considering a doubler or a thumper now, same basic process. It's a temperature difference. So it hits the liquid, expands, and it thumps. Right. It's the expansion. That's all it is. I mean, it's basically the same process. It's the temperature difference from what we take off the beer still and go into the doubler, or take off the beer still and go into the thumper.
Very
cold
good.
Versus hot.
Perfect explanation. Thank you very much. Four Roses is owned by a great company based in Japan. Are you allowed to say, does that happen? Is there any of the bourbon that's made here that goes to Japan, not for being sold in bottles of Four Roses, but in bulk, that they would be using for their Japanese whiskey?
No. What we do ship in bulk since Kirin. The relationship with Kirin dates back to about 1976, and Kirin and Seagram had a relationship when Kirin decided to branch out beyond their brewing business into distillation of Japanese whiskeys. They contracted with Seagram. It's called Kirin Seagram. They built a distillery in Gotemba, Japan. While they're building the distillery, they sent the people that run the distillery to Kentucky to learn distillation. So we had a partnership, and Kirin had the distribution of Four Roses bourbon in Japan, which is a top selling. So when Seagram went out of business and Kirin had an opportunity, they jumped all over the opportunity. They didn't want to lose. And but we do ship in bulk our bourbon to Japan, and we ship it to bottle under our standards. Of course, our standards are their standards now, our yellow label. And it's the same recipe, it's the same formula. We could dump barrels at a time and send part of it to Japan to bottle for the Japanese market. We can send part of it to Europe in bulk in Scotland for the European market. We can keep part of it here. It's all the same.